Welcome to the final tutorial in Learn Brizy Page Builder Level 1. And there are still many levels to come, so don't worry, it's not the end of Game of Thrones. It's still continuing and the clashes will remain. Just to give you a quick, an overview of what we try to achieve with Level 1. One, we wanted to familiarize you with the page builder, where you create a block, where you get the elements, and the basic function of the most important elements within Brizy. Those elements that everybody will use to build any page. We also wanted to show you how you connect that with creating pages in WordPress, because in Level 1, we assume you know nothing about WordPress, and we also assume that you have never worked with Brizy. And that is how these levels are structured. In Level 1, we just do this basic overview, and the best way to learn is to just copy and do. I always, when I teach people and we do training sessions, I tell them, don't try and be smart, just do what I tell you to do. And then once you can copy what I do 100%, then you become creative and you do your own thing. And that is more or less the method that I usually do. Is just, I know you have questions, you can wait until the end of the course. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what we've tried to achieve with Level 1. Introduce you to all those things, and that we have done. The other thing that you have to remember about what we've done so far in Level 1 is we've only worked with the free version of Brizy. We will look at the Pro upcoming in Level 2. So we will begin to design a website, a one-pager from the beginning to the end in Level 2. First, we will use only the free version, and we will couple that with a theme in WordPress. And then we will do an alternative version of that by doing another website, a one-pager in Level 2 with the Pro versions. And these will be full tutorials, really big and really extravagant. So that's everything that you can expect for Level 2. Enough with the rambling, let's get to this last tutorial. And I mentioned in the previous one that we will be making another slider, and you can see the slider up here, and this slider is a testimonial. Let's go and create this, and by now, based on our previous tutorial, you should have some idea how this tutorial will go. We will bring in a text element, an image, and another text element within a block, and then we will activate the slider option in the block, and we will make a second one, and it will give us these navigation arrows to the left and to the right, and the navigation dots at the bottom. As I've mentioned before, one of the things that I recommend whenever you make a slider is to put all your content within a container, either a column or a row. And here we go. Back into WordPress, I'll close out this one. We get into our WordPress dashboard and we create a new page, pages, add new, and we will call this one, let's call this one just testimonial. I'm going to publish it, and I'm going to publish it again, and then edit with Brizy. Begin by bringing in a block. We click in the middle and then add a blank block. It comes in by default with 2 columns. And because I want to have a container, I will delete one of them. So right click and choose delete. This one, I'm not going to place any background. I'm going to keep it as white as it is currently. What I'm going to do though, is if you look at this container here at the moment, I think this is too wide for a testimonial. I prefer bringing a testimonial a little bit more narrower, so that it's more easy for people to read, especially if they're sitting with a big screen. To do that, to control the width of this container, you can do that within the settings of the block. Go to the top right, click here, go to settings, and here you will see width. Currently it is boxed. You can put it on full, then you see it stretches all the way from left to right. That's definitely the opposite of what I want to achieve. Put it back on boxed, and now you will see the slider under it works in a percentage. So this is the maximum width that Brizy will allow you to display something within this specific kind of box. You cannot make it bigger, but you can make it smaller. Grab the slider, and I'm going to reduce it quite considerably to around 70%. So I drag it down there until 70. This is much smaller, but I think more effective if you want to bring in text like a testimonial that people want to read. Let's bring in the text for the top part of the testimonial. Go to the sidebar on the left and click on Add Elements, and we drag and drop the text element. During these tutorials, I've mostly just used the placeholder text that comes here with the text element. Many times when you are developing a website for a client, you want to just place some text in there. You don't know what they are going to talk about, or even while you are developing the page, you don't know what content you want to add to this text element. A very standard way of doing this in the publishing world is to use what we call lorem ipsum. If you notice up here, it's just some, you can call it Latin mumbo jumbo. Some Latin words. Hopefully it doesn't offend anyone. And if you use it, everybody will know this is placeholder text. So I have gone to this website, loremipsum.io, and then you can even down here generate more paragraphs if you want longer text, or if you want to change the text, a little bit something different. Because if you go to many sites that use lorem ipsum, it's standard. It's always the same. Lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, etc. I've highlighted this text. I'm going to right click and copy it and then go back into Brizy. Here I will click within the text element. I'm going to select everything with Control A or Command A on a Mac. And then I'm going to paste it, Control V, Command V. From here, I begin styling it. I'll go to Typography first, and we're going to run into the same problem whenever you are working with a block that is at the top of a page. And that is when you click on this, the context menu will drop down and it will cover the area you are working with. The ideal is that we can see what we are doing. So the workaround for that is, like we've done in previous tutorials, is to bring in an extra block, add a blank block. Then you go here to reorder blocks on the left, click on that and grab the block at the bottom and drag it to the top. Now you have this extra space. So when you click back here within the text element, and now you click on Typography, Brizy will let the context menu pop up here for the settings of the various actions that you need to perform. In our typography, scroll down for this very huge word. It's called cormorant. There we go. Cormorant Garamond. Click on that, and I will add some quotation marks. Click in there. Quotation marks at the beginning and rabbit ears at the end. Let's go back into the typography. Let's increase the size to 22. And then for the weight, I'm going to put that on bold. At this moment, I want to show you something before we continue. Currently, I've set the weight for this in bold. If I were to go into the tablet display over here, you will see it reverts back to the standard weight. It's not in bold anymore. And there's a reason that we will explore in level 2 to overcome this, and that is with the global styles. We haven't touched global styles in level 1 at all, but in global styles over here under styling, in the sidebar, if you click on it, you have the option to change the swatches, the colors that you are going to use, as well as set your styling for your typography beforehand. And the reason why that is important is that you actually apply, if you click here on the styling for paragraph, you will see up here that you have 3 options. And this is where you will set for each of the displays how those text and fonts and typography will behave within these various displays. Level 2 coming up, so hold on to your horses. Just take note of that when we go into tablet, it reverts back to the original weight setting for that specific font. Click back into the text element, typography, and remember we are down here with this huge word called Cormorant Garamond. And we put it on 22, the weight on bold, and the rest we're going to leave. Change the color by clicking on the color swatch here, and we choose this dark color, the standard Brizy dark color. That's a little swatch. We align it to the middle by clicking here on align once, and it will center align everything for us. And then to give it a little bit more of panache, I'm going to put it in italics. And everything goes into italics. We are done with our quote. So of course, when you bring in your customer, you're going to say, "Hey, Lucille, say something nice about my shop, please." And then after she had said that, you're going to replace this lorem ipsum with her kind and generous words. Let's bring in Lucille's picture. And I wonder why I'm saying Lucille. That wasn't the name I had in mind. To bring in the picture, we need an image element. So go to Add Elements, drag and drop the image element until you see that thick gray line. And it gives you an image that will stretch all the way from left to right in the container. And that is the standard. That is how Brizy works. Every time you put in an image, it's going to enlarge that image, regardless of its actual size, to the width of the container. Why do I tell you that? Please observe. Click on the image and then go to the settings of the image. I'll just scroll down. And then let's upload the image over here. And these are the two images that we will be using for our testimonials, testifiers. What do we call them? People who give testimonies. Witnesses. Testimonials? Okay. Sidetrack. Let's click on this dude over here. And then let's go have a look at the size of this image. Over here, you see the pixels, 399 by 399, which infuriates me because I put it at 400 by 400, and I hate that missing pixel. Let's not get lost on that, but what I want you to understand is that an image at 400 by 400 pixels isn't extremely large. So what we've got currently on the site is too big for the resolution of this image. And that's why when I click on Select here at the bottom, this image is going to look extremely bad. It's going to be blurry. It's not going to look good. And please remember, this image is not supposed to display this big. The reason it is this big is because of the default setting within the image element that it will always take the width of the container. So we need to make this look good. The first thing I want you to take note of is that this image is an aspect ratio of 1:1. The left and right, and the top and the bottom, the sides are equal lengths. So 399 pixels all around, which gives us a perfect square. If you want to bring in an image and then give it a circle, I highly recommend you style that image before you bring it into WordPress and Brizy to a 1:1, a full square. That will make it very easy to create a circle within Brizy. Let's first get it to a square. I'll click on the image. And this is the best workaround for this I can give you. Click up here on Settings. And now you look at size, it's 100%. Height is at 75%. So it has reduced the height in relation to the width. And I think it's getting a little technical now, right? Well, follow the following. Double click in height and type in 100%. Now you're going to get the ratio at which the actual image has been cropped, which is 1:1. But this is not actually 100% size. That 100% size is not the actual image, it's the container within. So it's this column. That is the 100% we are talking about. We are going to reduce it. There are two ways you can do it. Let me show you the first one. Click again on the image, and then you see these little handles. The blue dots appear here at the top and on the corners. To reduce the size, you grab the handle in any corner and you just drag up like this. Alternatively, you do it with the slider in the settings. Click on Settings and you will see now the size is at 12%. I can drag it again like this to 100% and reduce it. I'm going to double click in here and make it 10%. Now I've got a perfect square there because I put my height at 100% and then I put it at a size that I think is manageable. Actually, this size currently here is much smaller than 400 by 400 pixels. I actually could have made this image even smaller than the 400 by 400. Let's apply corners now. That will make it look like a circle. And you see here, it says corner. You just click on this one and it's going to create this circle for you. You can check that if you click here on the little dots, it will give you the maximum. doesn't mean it's 40 pixels. If I increase the size over here, let's say to 20%, 21, to make it a circle again, you just grab this slider and drag it all the way to the right. Now it's 91 pixels. This will only work if your image is at an aspect ratio of 1:1, a perfect square. If it is not, you will need to angle it much more to get it to look like a perfect circle. So again, advice is, if you want to achieve this kind of perfect circle effect for an image, bring the image in as a square into WordPress and then into Brizy, and then it will be much easier. Let's take it down again to 10%, double click in size, 10%. And it should then reduce the corner pixels automatically. We've brought in our testimonial text up here, and then from our testimonier, we've brought in an image. Now let's put his name here at the bottom. That's as simple as a text element. So we go to add elements, click and drag and drop until we see the thick gray line. Click in there. Let's highlight all the text, Control A, Command A, and we are going to call him, I gave him a different name, right? But this time let's call him Kent Ross. Typography, we are going to put him on Mooly. And let's give him a little bit of weight over here, semi-bold. And the color, I think we keep it at gray, then align it to the center. What I will do though is I want to put it in all caps, and currently there's no all caps feature here. So I'll double click on it, caps lock on my computer keyboard, and then type in again Kent Ross. It's the only way you will be able to achieve that. And now we have our first testimonial ready. Before we can work on the second testimonial, we need to activate this block into slider. Go to the block settings to the top right, all the way to the left, click on it, and then make it a slider. Yes, indeed. And we click on that. Now we have our slider. We've got two slides here. We can select between them. We can also navigate with the arrows, and they will loop as we cycle through them. Let's make sure we are working on the second one. Click on this little circle. The great thing about this kind of testimonial slider approach is that once you've styled one, you don't need to do anything for the second one except change the content. So I'm going to leave the lorem ipsum placeholder text there. But for the image, all I need to do is click on it, select the image icon, delete this one, and then select another image. And you will see nothing I have to change. She comes in perfect as she is. And then for her name, let's double click here and let's type her name, Lana Delane. And that's it. That's as easy as it gets. And then you can add more testimonials if you want to. If you believe people are going to scroll through all of them until they get to the testimonial that convinces them to buy your product. Good. I'm being a little bit cynical there. I know. Now our slider is set. Let's go for the settings just to make sure everything will perform perfectly. Click again on the block settings up here. Go to the slider up here and autoplay yes. And I think 3 seconds more than enough. We leave the dots and we leave the arrows. Everything else I think looks good here. So we can close out here. Let's go delete the block up here by clicking on the settings and then click on the bin trash can and it's gone. Save our work, Control Command S. And we view it on the front end by clicking on the preview button in the bottom right hand corner. There is our slider, Kent Ross and Lana Delane. Good. And this is very nice. It's going to cycle through it, giving some, well, credence to your website. And then if people want to know, hey, wait a minute, what did Lana say? They can go to Lana. And as they hover with the cursor over it, the auto looping will stop and they can read Dios ote errore dolor in reprehenderit. Anyway, let's go have a look at our responsiveness for the mobile and also for tablet. I'm going to close this one. We go back into Brizy and then here at mobile view, click on that and we choose tablet first. More or less the same issues that we ran into with the previous tutorial is about spacing. Because we had given this block, the block width at the beginning, let me show you again. Go back to desktop. Remember up here, settings, we had reduced the width to 70%. This will help us now take care of the spacing on the left and the right. So if I go to tablet, you're going to see we do not have the problem here on the left and the right. We do have a problem here at the bottom though with these little navigation dots very close to the name, which we don't like. There are two ways that you can apply that space. In the previous one, we applied it to the column. The great thing applying it to the column is that you can right-click and then copy and paste that to the next slide to keep it uniformly. The other way you can do it is also to apply padding here within the block. So you can go to the block and settings and then apply padding at the bottom. The problem with this one is you cannot copy that style and paste it on the next slide. So you have to do it manually for each and every slide. So even though this is an option, I'm not going to use that. Let's click out. Let's go to the column, the blue line, click on it, select settings, and then for our padding, we go to the bottom over here and increase the pixels. What is that? There we go. That is 35 or 36. I think it's 36. My eyes and the shading, they don't work so well together. But I don't need to remember that, because what I'm going to do, if I click out and I go to the second slide, you will see this one is still not affected. Go back to the previous one, to the column, right click and choose copy. Then to the next slide, go to the column, right click, paste styles, and great stuff. Now these two have the same values for their padding. And we're going to do the same for the mobile display. So we go again here to mobile view in the bottom, click on that, mobile, and we need a lot of space here. We do the same. Go to the column, settings, and then bottom padding. Drag it until you say it looks good. It looks good. And then we go here to the top, right click, copy, choose the next slide, right click, paste styles. And if it doesn't work like this one, I'm going to go back, right click again, copy. Let's try it again. Paste styles. Ta-da! Good. I figured out that when you have opened a context menu like this and you right click, it some reason doesn't grab what you've done. You have to click out of it and come back, then right click, copy and paste styles. Thank you Lana Delane and Kent Ross for their efforts in this testimonial slider and this final tutorial in Learn Brizy Page Builder Level 1. See you in Level 2. This is JP.